the ruler, the gangster, the killer, and the beast slayer, OBA FEMI, has become the king of the WWE and all but stamps his shot at SummerSlam going into one of the nights, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but Night of Champions is in the books, and there is a lot to talk about as far as what went down. I don't have a necessary formula to go off of what I had just witnessed, but I am definitely going to break down this show like a shotgun. If you are curious what I predicted for SummerSlam, or for Night of Champions, rather, I apologize, for Night of Champions, if you're curious about what I predicted, then I'm going to post the link up above on the top left or top right-hand side of the right-hand corner side. Go ahead and check those out and see how I did. You'd actually be pretty surprised how well I did. So let's start off with OBA FEMI against Jey Uso. A lot of tension, a lot of excitement going into this match because we did not know that OBA was going to walk out victorious. I mean, I'd say an overwhelming majority of the people on the internet just figured that the Jey Uso was going to win and that Brock Lesnar was going to get involved. A little spoiler alert for the predictions that I had. I felt like Brock wasn't going to get involved in this match because it really didn't make any sense. And the reason why it didn't make any sense is because Brock's already beaten OBA FEMI. So there's no reason for him to come out and cost OBA FEMI the opportunity at being a king of the ring. Now, OBA has a bargaining chip. Now, OBA can insert Brock into the world title match and make it a triple threat at SummerSlam. That would be his opportunity to get revenge on Brock and Roman. I see a constant rumor going around, or theory, fantasy booking, if you will, of Brock meeting OBA in night 1 and then Roman and OBA night 2. I like that. It actually presents a real Herculean effort on OBA FEMI's part to overcome Brock and the original Beast Slayer in Roman Reigns, which we'll get to a little bit later. I don't know if that's the right way to go. I actually think a triple threat match would make a lot more sense. Brock getting a world title match in his hometown. You insert Roman Reigns into the picture, and you have OBA possibly overcoming both of these guys. It would be very similar to the way that they crowned Chris Jericho undisputed champion back in 2002 when he wrestled Steve Austin and The Rock. Two of the biggest guys at the time, and Chris Jericho walks away the king of the world, and now OBA has an opportunity to walk away from SummerSlam as the ruler, the king, the beast slayer. So a lot of different routes you can go going into SummerSlam, which I believe is only 5 weeks away, so you don't have a whole lot of time to really build this up. I imagine we're going to get some sort of a confrontation between OBA FEMI and Roman Reigns on Monday. And then maybe OBA goes to SmackDown and confronts SAMI ZAYN, who will assuredly be terrified at the presence of OBA FEMI. Just to kind of give you a chance to guess or wonder what he's going to choose. I think if he goes the SAMI ZAYN route, I believe it's a cop-out. I think we all know that, guys. We all know that if he chooses SAMI ZAYN, it'll be perceived as he is ducking Roman Reigns, right? He's already got a win over Jey Uso, which is his right-hand man. He might as well go through the bloodline in the 5-week build-up and then eventually conquer Roman Reigns and conquer Brock Lesnar at the same night. I'm convinced that that's what we're going to get, that we're going to get a triple threat match, that Brock is only going to come back if OBA goads him into coming back by adding him to the world title match, using the world title opportunity as a bargaining chip. And then if I were the WWE and you could really drop your balls on this one, is to have OBA pin them both at the same time. That would be huge. Now, I think that's asking a lot, though, to be honest with you. But Brock loses to OBA in the triple threat match. Roman doesn't even have to take the pin. So Roman can actually walk away without having been beaten by OBA FEMI. So that gives you a whole lot going into WrestleMania. there's a lot that you can do there. I think the triple threat match, and I'm not a fan of like multi-man matches at big PLEs, like big pay-per-view extravaganzas here. So me saying that a triple threat match makes sense, it's because genuinely and logically it makes sense. If Brock is going to bow out, one of his biggest rivals, aside from John Cena and Kurt Angle, has been Roman Reigns. He wrestled him on more WrestleManias than he's wrestled in anybody else. I mean, you reunite Brock with Roman, and then you add in OBA FEMI, who is obviously going to take the lead here once Roman starts to bow out, and Brock will probably bow out at SummerSlam. I mean, the logic is sound here. Go for the triple threat. That's my opinion. And if you watch my predictions thread, you know I'm actually on a roll right now, so you might want to listen to your boy. So I knew that going into this big weekend with TNA and NXT and WWE in Saudi Arabia, and now you've got AEW tomorrow with Forbidden Door, that they would have to do something that really gets the people talking. And the only thing that I could think of that would really get the people talking was Oba winning the King of the Ring, which I predicted, and Sami Zayn winning the WWE title in Saudi Arabia, which they have been saying that he was going to do. It was long rumored that Sami Zayn was going to win the title at Saudi Arabia at some point, that they were going to pull the trigger on that. And a lot of people just figured that they would wait till WrestleMania 43 to go ahead and go about that. And if you paid attention to my predictions thread, I said, I don't think they're going to wait that long, and I don't think it would make sense for that WrestleMania. They're going to stack that WrestleMania. You got potential to have Oba FEMI against Roman Reigns. You got Oba FEMI against CM Punk, Oba FEMI against Cody Rhodes. You can go Roman Reigns against The Rock. They're going to stack that show up. They're legitimately going to have, barring any injuries or any kind of craziness going on, they're going to have one heck of a lineup for that. They're going to have to, because the backlash for that, no pun intended, because I believe backlash is going to come on right after WrestleMania. I think to avoid all of the controversy that is going to consume the build to that WrestleMania, they're going to have to make it one of the better lineups they've had since WrestleMania 40. That's just the way that they're going to have to go about it. So I think it's logical that Sami winning now makes more sense. It adds a sense of shock and awe that's going to get the people talking. Sami winning the world title, his first WWE World Championship, and Oba winning the King of the Ring, which essentially stamps him as the future, as the present of the WWE. These are the things that people are going to talk about going into the weekend. So AEW has their hands full, because now they're going to have to do something that's just as insane to hopefully steal the headlines from the WWE, because now everybody's going to be talking about Oba. Everybody's going to be talking about Sami Zayn. Makes for a very exciting Sunday if you guys are wrestling fans that like watching both companies in professional wrestling in general. So Sami Zayn defeats Gunther and Cody Rhodes. This was an interesting match, and the way that they ended it, I'm going to tell you, WWE, they roll out these matches, these like triple threat matches, or even just their main event style. It's pretty formulaic in a sense. They go off of the crowd's emotion. And I'm going to talk about the crowd a little bit later, but they go off the crowd's emotion, and they kind of do these false finishes and these big moves, spam finishers sometimes, but it's usually to draw in a lot of drama and emotion before you get the victory. And you kind of see the ending coming from a mile away. Well, the way that this was going was, it was definitely going down the road where it looked like Cody Rhodes was just going to steal the victory here. And, you know, I sniffed it. I don't know if you guys saw it. I kind of saw that coming. I saw it going in that direction. I was like, oh, here we go. They're going to take the easy way out. But what the WWE does, and I've been saying this ever since I've had a YouTube channel, and I've been proven right. If the opening match has a feel-good moment, then the main event usually has the opposite. That's the format. Spoiler. Oba won the King of the Ring, which is what everybody wanted. So at the main event, they went a different route. The only thing that makes this unique, because the crowd would have booed Sami in the United States, but because they were in Saudi Arabia, then the crowd was behind this move. but wait until he goes to the States. Like, he thinks that finally he's not just the last real good guy, that he's finally getting the adulation of the crowd in his highest moment. Wait till he goes to the United States and gets showered with boos for doing what he did, winning with a roll-up, no less. I think it's going to be interesting to see if he is able to maintain being the champion for this next 5 weeks and who they decide to go with as his opponent. I know that Kevin Owens has been swimming around thinking about coming back. Randy Orton could come back as a good guy here. That's definitely possible. Drew McIntyre, he hasn't been seen in a long time. His return, he could become a fan favorite. And remember, Sami Zayn has not been able to beat Drew McIntyre. A lot of people are forgetting about Drew McIntyre here. They assume that he's just going to come back and he's going to be a bad guy here. But I believe if he were to come back, I think he'd get a really good reception for making his return. And if he goes after Sami Zayn to try to win the world title, I think that could be really huge. Now, do I think that's a SummerSlam main event? I absolutely do not. You've got other matches that you can roll with. The obvious choice is a Cody Rhodes rematch. Gunther probably needs to do something like where he snaps. Like, I've been saying this on the Rumor and Innuendo chat for a long time, Robert Karpelis and Dominic D'Angelo. I've been saying in their chat that Gunther needs to snap like Bob Backlund snapped in 1994. That's some old head trivia right there, an old head tidbit for you. Go back and look at Bob Backlund in 1994. He snapped and he put journalists, announcers, fans, and professional wrestlers in the crossface chicken wing, refused to let go. And then when he finally let go, he looked at his hands like he could see the entire universe rotating inside of his hands. He had the whole world in his hands at that point, right? So I think if you did that with Gunther, it would make a ton of sense, because he was riding high for so long as being a career killer, and then he took a left turn and ended up so far away and losing all of his momentum, essentially losing like 2 straight to Cody Rhodes. Like, I just think the natural progression for Gunther to kind of get back some of that which he gained from beating Goldberg, AJ Styles, and John Cena and retiring them is to freaking snap like Kurt Angle snapped with the ankle lock, you know, like really just lose his mind, put everybody in a chokehold, including Nick Aldis. I think he should choke out Nick Aldis. I think he should just choke people out. I think he should do it and really lose his mind. I think that's what you need from Gunther. You need Gunther to be like, you need him to be a very intimidating character going forward. I think that's the only thing that you can do to really kind of gain back some of that goodwill for Gunther, you know. And so you got him swimming around. CM Punk is obviously looking to return. Cody Rhodes, the rematch there with Sami Zayn is obvious there. I mean, a lot of people see that coming. SummerSlam could be very interesting. You can involve all of those guys at some point if you want. I mean, but you got Cody, CM Punk, Gunther, Drew McIntyre, a potential return to Kevin Owens, Randy Orton swimming around. Those are 6 challengers. Looks like Sami Zayn has a little bit of a rogue gallery there. If you know, that's a callback from Robert Karpelis. If you know, you know. He might have a little bit of a rogues gallery here. A lot of guys gunning for him, and him feeling the pressure, including maybe a potential Jey Uso gunning for him as well. So you got at least seven guys that are qualified main eventers that could try to wrestle the title from Sami Zayn up to SummerSlam. So, I mean, it could happen at any point. It could happen on SmackDown, Sunday night's main event. I mean, you can go a lot of different ways with that. So very exciting there. Those 2 matches are going to be the talks of the WWE and the wrestling world for the rest of the week. And they got to keep that momentum going into SummerSlam. I mean, the build for SummerSlam is going to be really important here, you guys. And I think, you know, the uncertainty of who Sami Zayn is going to be wrestling and the fact that Oba is more than likely going to challenge Roman Reigns, the thing that we've all wanted. Talk about fan service. I think it's going to be a lot of exciting things to come, and hopefully they don't blow that. As far as the rest of the card goes, Liv Morgan loses to Io Sky. Io Sky becomes the Queen of the Sky. She wins the Queen of the Ring and immediately challenges Liv Morgan to a rematch, which I find interesting. I know that they had to pivot because Stephanie Vaquer, she was injured, and they didn't really feel like shotgunning anybody to go challenge Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan has not defended her women's world championship since WrestleMania. So it's very interesting that they threw her into the King of the Ring, got her all the way to the end, and then had her lose to Io Sky. And now Io Sky is challenging her again. Now, a lot of people are going to be underwhelmed by that move. I think they can still work this into a story that makes sense. Obviously, she's going to be on the outs with Roxanne and Raquel coming up. You kind of feel that simmering tension there where there's going to be something going on with those three. And I feel like that's going to hit its boiling point by SummerSlam, if not at SummerSlam. So there is a lot that you can go and do with that kind of a storyline, and it'll be interesting what they do in the 5 weeks leading up to that. I do sense that Io could win at SummerSlam, but she might not even be facing Liv Morgan at SummerSlam. That could also be a red herring. Imagine if Liv Morgan drops the title before SummerSlam. That could be huge as well. Liv can then go to the SmackDown side and maybe challenge Rhea Ripley. I mean, there's a lot that you can do in these next 5 weeks. As far as that match goes, I think it was good for what it was. It seemed to be like they were holding back a little bit, like this was a teaser for their match at SummerSlam. So they were holding back just a little bit. The crowd had not been what I normally expect from a Saudi crowd. I think it must have been the mic setup, because Michael Cole sounded like he was doing commentary from a CB radio. He sounded like he was doing commentary from a rotary phone. The audio was weird for Michael Cole. It was okay for Corey Graves. Corey Graves must have suckered him or punked him out of that. It was weird. It seemed like it was a prank or something, right? And the crowd just didn't seem as into it as I thought they would be, considering they're basically a crowd that's paid to be there. It's like, I don't know. It was very weird, very interesting. And I could tell that there were moments where you could tell they were really loud, but it didn't sound as loud coming through the screen. So I'm just going to chalk it up. I'm going to Dave Meltzer this thing really quick, and I'm not going to blame the crowd, but I'm going to say that maybe they just weren't mic'd up the right way, because they were uncharacteristically quiet for Liv Morgan and Io Sky, and a majority of the matches, including Oba Femi winning against Jey Uso, the crowd definitely was chanting for Oba. You can look back into the crowd and you can see that they were reacting. You just didn't hear it. So it was very strange, very odd. But Io winning, I think, was the right move. You definitely don't want to get Liv Morgan in a situation where she's challenging the SmackDown World Champion on the women's side, and they're not going to unify the titles. So Rhea would have gone against Liv Morgan at SummerSlam. Her title would have been the only title on the line. It's just kind of weird. That would have been really silly, in my opinion, especially considering that you have a lot of women on either brand that should have been worthy challengers against either of those champions. So the right move was to go with Io. I really thought Io was going to be wrestling Rhea Ripley, but I guess they're still going to hold off on that. That could still be at WrestleMania. They still have a long ways to go before they actually do that, where Rhea eventually does defeat Io Sky. So they have some time before they can get to that point, and I like that they're holding off on that. Long-term story works sometimes, most of the time, and I like that they're doing that. And I like that they didn't go long-term with Oba Femi. So they're doing some great things thus far. And in the next match, it was the United States Championship match between Trick Williams and Ricky Saints. I loved that the crowd reacted really well to Ricky Saints. I love that they gave Ricky Saints a lot of offense. Now remember, Ricky Saints on the NXT brand has a victory over Oba Femi. Easy for you to say. So Ricky Saints has a bargaining chip when Oba Femi wins the world title. He can call out Oba Femi. That could be one of Oba's first challengers for the world title, considering that Ricky Saints has beaten Oba Femi before. I'm as amazing as that sounds for me to say, and for those that are not familiar with NXT, Ricky Saints has a victory over Oba Femi. Jeez, I can't even say it. I'm still astounded by what was going on at Night of Champions. I can't even say over Oba Femi. Anyways, right person won here. Trick Williams won. I think they need to establish him as a strong United States champion. We got Ilya Dragunov, Finn Balor, Carmelo Hayes, Tama Tonga, Shinsuke Nakamura, all these challengers that are just kind of awaiting to meet Trick Williams. I don't think that Trick losing would have been the right way to go about this, and you can obviously still position Ricky Saints in as a challenger for the United States champion going forward. So it was fine for what it was. I felt like there wasn't much in the build-up to this match. I saw that one promo battle on Friday, but other than that, there was really no build-up, because Trick was getting married. I didn't know where he was. And if you listen to my predictions video, I was like trying to figure out why Trick had disappeared, but now I realized he was getting married to Lash Legend. So that makes a whole lot of sense now why he really wasn't around that much, but it actually kind of hurt the build up to this match, and there wasn't a whole lot of heat going behind it. So now that they've gotten this match out of the way, I think they can do a storyline. Maybe Ricky Saints does something to Lash Legend, or something like that, because Ricky's kind of character is that he can be unhinged at certain points. So you can definitely roll in with another storyline to give them another match going forward, or going down the line. So this was fine for what it was, to establish that these two can work together and can put on an adequate match, something Scott Keith would call perfectly acceptable wrestling. Then we had Tiffany Stratton against Jade Cargill. This match, very choreographed. They definitely rehearsed this match to a T, and they pulled it off pretty well, in my opinion. Everything that I thought was going to happen in this match actually did happen. If you go back and look at my predictions, it was overbooked. It was a lot of interference. You had B-Fab and Mia Yim come out. You had Chelsea Green coming out. And then finally you had Charlotte Flair coming out, eventually costing Jade Cargill the match to lead up to Jade Cargill against Charlotte Flair going to SummerSlam. It made all the sense in the world. It was definitely telegraphed in that regard. The match was fine for what it was. It wasn't the banger that I thought it was going to be, but it did its job. Tiffany needed this win. She didn't need to lose the United States Championship. She's been kind of in and out of the public eye for a while now. I don't know why they kind of like dialed her down a little bit, because she was super popular before she lost the Women's Championship. And now it seems like she's kind of going back from the beginning and building herself right back up. And I think this was done. This is a good way of doing it. And then, of course, you actually protect Jade Cargill in this loss, so she doesn't look like she's being defied down. She's still got an opportunity to gain more momentum in going into her match with Charlotte Flair, which has been teased for like a couple of years now. So it'll be interesting to see how they build up in these next 5 weeks, this match between Charlotte and Jade Cargill, and even if they can actually put on a pretty good match. Charlotte, when she's motivated, can really make a lot of the women wrestlers look really, really good. And I think if they rehearse this match really well, and Jade and Rhea had a great second match, I think that Jade and Charlotte have potential to do something equal to or even greater than that match. I have confidence in them, but we'll see if they're able to pull that off. So am I missing anything? I think I got this off the top of my head, guys. I don't have the card in front of me. I'm just kind of going off of memory from what I had just witnessed, because the show just went off. Feel like I might be forgetting something. Oh, yeah. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker in the steel cage match. I'm surprised about it. And I'm not saying this match was forgettable, but I am shocked that they didn't have Braun Breaker go over here. Now, I thought Bronson Reed was going to make his return. Looks like they're holding off for that. This was billed as almost like the end of their feud, and I didn't feel like Braun Breaker losing this feud was the right move. Now, I don't know what they're going to be doing with Seth Rollins. This is going to be interesting, because Seth Rollins, because he won, you would think that he has an opportunity to challenge the world champion, which would be Roman Reigns. Now, do they do that match at Sunday night's main event? They could. They definitely could, and they can build tension to see, is it going to be Oba and Roman, or is it going to be Oba and Seth Rollins? I mean, they could definitely go in that direction, because they do have 5 weeks. So I could see Seth challenging Roman at Sunday night's main event if they really want to make this a big event here between the build for SummerSlam. I mean, that's for sure. But other than that, I really don't see what else they can do other than have Braun Breaker come out and send Seth Rollins off in a stretcher, maybe with Bronson Reed coming back, and then Seth is out for a while and he comes back and he tries to do one final match with Braun Breaker. But we've seen this match with Braun Breaker so many times. I don't know if they're going to go back to the well with that. I don't think it's necessary at all, but I'm just trying to figure out what they do with Seth Rollins now going forward. Now, if it was Braun Breaker that won, Braun Breaker had so many other opportunities. He could have gone in a lot of different directions. I mean, he could have hopped over to SmackDown. I mean, there's just try to get his win back over CM Punk over on the SmackDown side of the game. There's just so many things that they could have done in that regard. I'm not saying that they defined Braun Breaker down with this loss. I still think that they have an opportunity to kind of get momentum with him, but I don't want Braun Breaker to suffer because they're putting all their chips in the basket for OBA FEMI. I think these two behemoths can coincide in their leaps up to the top of the card, because that's eventually where we're going to get for the next 15 freaking years is Braun Breaker and OBA FEMI in main events. These are the future. Jacob Fatu and Bronson Reed and Javon Evans and Trick Williams, and these guys are the future. So don't risk losing momentum for Braun Breaker because you're getting so focused on OBA FEMI here. I don't know if they're worried about him getting hurt, or I don't know, but this was very shocking to me. Seth winning is, I guess, a good move for Seth, but what does it do long term? And that's what I'm worried about, is the long term ramifications. As far as the cage match goes, I didn't remember it off the top of my head, but when I was watching it, it was a phenomenal match. It wasn't the formulaic WWE steel cage matches that you're normally used to seeing. They did a lot. I mean, the trash talking that they were doing was really nice touch. Seth getting in Braun's head, busting his eye open and all this stuff. I mean, it was really well done. But yeah, like I said, man, they really maimed Braun here. I don't think it really hurt his momentum or his push at all, but I'd really like to see what they do going forward. I imagine Braun's going to snap. I think he's going to really hurt Seth Rollins, but then when Seth Rollins comes back, you go back to the well and do another Seth Rollins Braun Breaker. What do you do? Last man standing? Do you do Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam? I mean, I don't know if the crowd would be interested in seeing another match between these two, but it's definitely possible that they can do that. They can also go a tag route. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it, I suppose. Braun needs more victories over top guys. He's already lost to CM Punk. He's got to start beating these legacy guys so that we believe that he belongs at the top of the card, and he definitely does. He's got everything at his arsenal, and maybe it's going to be an issue where they say that he can't win because Paul Heyman wasn't there, and he kind of needed to be coached by Paul Heyman. He needed the tutelage of Paul Heyman in order to get this victory. I'm sure that they can mention that, but yeah, it was definitely weird. But like I said, I don't imagine Seth Rollins is going to be free and clear of the vision going anytime soon. Pun strongly intended there. And I think that was it. I don't believe I left anything off the table. Oh, but by the way, Danhausen did curse Liv Morgan, so that was Liv Morgan's easy way out of losing that match with Io Sky. But I think I covered everything. Night of Champions is definitely going to be bookended by the opening match being OBA FEMI winning the King of the Ring and of Sami Zayn winning the world title. And I think that's what you're going to be talking about for Night of Champions. If you have not seen the PLE and you're interested in what matches you should watch, I would say those two matches for sure. And definitely check out the cage match if you still have time for it. But this was a tale of two matches here. And it's going to be the talk of the internet wrestling community, at least through this weekend, but more than likely into next week, especially if they really capitalize on the momentum that they got from these moments and build to a really strong Raw and an even stronger SmackDown, which I believe SmackDown's going to be 2 hours on Friday. So they can really put out a good show that's concise and not so long-winded if they are capable of doing so. So, guys, I think Night of Champions is definitely perfectly acceptable wrestling, definitely worth watching for those two matches alone, the opener and the main event. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below what you like from Night of Champions and what you think of my take on Night of Champions as a whole. If you guys have any questions or comments down below, you can go ahead and leave them, and I'd be more than happy to respond to each and every one. The negative, the positive, all are welcome here, you guys. And if you like this video and more, you guys know what to do. Until next time, it's the Wrestling Old Head out of the portal of pro wrestling. I'll see you in the next one.